For example, if you love a girl who is like a crab, and she says I don't love anyone, how will you treat her? What is crab like? If you want to understand clearly, the only way is to immediately buy a crab and bring it home to observe. Let it crawl freely on the floor and look. It crawls unlike other animals, with its head facing in any direction and its legs moving in that direction. Your crab, or anyone's for that matter, facing left or right, while your legs still calmly crawl forward as usual. After observing, don't rush to conclude. Ah, I see, your lover has a sideways crab-like gait, meaning her head always turns to one side while her feet still step forward. Oh my God! If you think like that, then you are as stupid as a crab. Not her away like that. I assure you that she has a very beautiful gait, the gait of a decent young poet. I want to talk about her personality. Her personality is different from other girls. Her personality is as flat as a crab. That time we camped in Vung Tau, she followed her brother who attended the camp with us and accidentally was assigned to a group I controlled of 8 people. Departing from Saigon at 7 o'clock in the morning, we arrived in Vung Tau about 10 o'clock. As soon as the camp was set up, everyone rushed to climb mountains, swim in the sea, and in the afternoon everyone was so tired they didn't want to go anywhere. We gathered around to cook dinner. About an hour later, I went to pick up the food and bring it home to distribute to each person in the group. After sharing, I saw a portion left over and was so happy because I thought being the group leader made a big profit. But a girlfriend spoke up and interrupted my abundant joy. One person is missing. I naively asked. Who is that? Dang's younger sister. Oh my God, is she there too? You took roll call in the morning and now you've forgotten them. You control the scandal too much. If she drowns, you'll have to pay for it. Don't joke. If I drowned I would have known. People drown, but you don't die, you know. A friend chewed chicken braised with ginger and recited Kung On. The creation of children is so boring. Drown people on land and play. Everyone, except me, laughed. The friend urged again. Are you worried about finding people? I beg. Well, go find it for me. I am hungry. Whether you say it or not, that's the team leader's job. At this time, I realized that the position of team leader was easy to hate and had no benefits at all. I grimaced. Okay, I'll go look for you after I finish eating. It was dark at that time. You didn't know where to look. I lazily stood up and picked up 2 meals wrapped in a daily newspaper. The girlfriend asked. Where are you going? I was looking for food while eating to gain strength. My friend Kung On said. Remember not to eat her portion. If she doesn't eat it, you have to bring it back here to prove it to everyone. Lord, now I have realized that people live by eating. Many writers and poets have praised the beautiful sunset on the beach, but looking at the red sun, drowning, offshore, I don't see anything beautiful. Maybe it was because my hunger ran to my eyes. I took out the chicken sandwich, chewed it, jumped on the rocks and looked around. After finishing the loaf of bread, I saw a girl sitting on a high rock, staring at the setting sun. I don't know if she is the girl in my group, because in the morning I vaguely remember she was wearing a red shirt and this girl was wearing a white t-shirt. I stood under the rock and observed for a while, then asked, "Excuse me, are you going camping with us?" The girl, or rather little girl because at that time she was only 15.5 years old, looked at me and nodded. Right. Afraid of being mistaken for a girl in another group, accepting a portion of food carelessly would be dangerous. Who can say for certain that girls don't like to eat a lot, so I asked carefully, "Are you in my group? Which group are you in?" God, the leader of the group, is the king of a world, and if he doesn't know about it, what kind of system is there? I immediately introduced myself. "I'm the leader of group 4. Which group are you in?" "I don't know what group I'm in. Are you Dang's sister?" "Right." I held the loaf of bread up high. "Take it and eat it." She made me lose my breath. The girl didn't bother reaching for the loaf of bread. "Maybe she doesn't know what hunger is," she asked. "Why are you looking for me?" Having to hold up the loaf of bread made my arms tired and replied angrily, "Why the hell am I looking for you? I'll go give her food. Next time you go somewhere, you have to ask permission so I can save some food for you. Take it." "I don't eat, so I don't need to ask your permission." "You're not hungry, right? What about this loaf of bread?" "Eat it." "Lord, is this the grace you have given me?" I happily climbed up the rock and sat down next to her, opened the newspaper, took out a loaf of bread, and munched greedily. The previous loaf of bread seemed to have dissolved in my breath after a while of climbing over the rocks looking for her. The bread served with chicken braised with ginger is wonderful, and at this point I agree with the writers and poets that the sunset on the beach is amazingly beautiful. The sun had sunk behind the blue water and the horizon glowed pink. Oh, nature is so beautiful. The pinkish-red color gradually changed to light purple and the sun became darker and darker blue. When the horizon is the same color as the sea, the loaf of bread is already in my stomach. The girl smiled and said, "Are you very hungry?" "Right. I can afford to eat another loaf of bread." "I wish I could eat as healthy as you. Do you have a stomachache?" "Not so. Because I don't feel hungry. I wish all the girls in this world didn't feel hungry like you. It would save men so much." "You look like you're eating delicious food. Did you watch me eat the entire loaf of bread?" "Right. But I thought you came here to watch the sunset on the beach." "Then you are also in that sunset like this rock." "Like this rock." God, she had assimilated me to an inanimate object. I was dissatisfied and said, "The rock doesn't feel hungry. It looks like you, not like me." And indeed from that moment she was a rock. She sat with her head down, not bothering to say a word even though I started talking. Night fell quickly at the same time as frost and winds blew in from the sea, making me start to feel cold. I also sat with my knees tied up like her to keep warm. I was luckier than her, and thanks to cigarettes, I was able to endure the cold easily. Under the pale moonlight, She occasionally shivered, as cold as ants crawling on her skin. I repeated my apology, I don't know how many times, and told her to go home because her friends were making a campfire. Maybe her brother was waiting for her, but she still sat still without saying a word. I made up a story that many people drowned on this beach and ghosts often appear late at night, so please go home. But there is no rock that is afraid of ghosts. She still sat still. The night became colder and mist covered the sea. With no more cigarettes left to light, I stood up and said, "You don't come home alone." I jumped down from the rock and was about to run back to call her brother to pull her back, but after running for a while I thought I'd leave her alone in case something bad happened. So I ran back, climbed up the rock, and sat down next to her. I say, "Okay, I will definitely sit here with you to compete to see who can handle the cold best." The girl quietly stood up, climbed down the rock and walked slowly toward our camp. I was stunned for a moment, then angrily jumped down on the rock to chase. I held her shoulder tightly, intending to say something fierce to relieve my anger, but looking at her sad, misty eyes, suddenly my anger disappeared. I let go of her shoulder and sighed. "Why are you so flat like a crab?" She bowed her head and walked on the warm sand. "That's my personality, so everyone hates me and I don't love anyone." I say, "Yes, except me because I really like eating crabs, especially salt-roasted crabs." She looked up at me and smiled. "You are as flat as a crab. I am just a crab in the field and you are a crab in the sea." When we got back to camp, the campfire was over. All of our friends had gone to bed, only 2 people were left sitting next to the embers to warm up. The girl went towards the camp for women and I went over to the coal pile to sit and warm up. The girl sat holding a stick and tossing half-burned firewood branches into the pile of coal. When she saw me, she asked, "Where did you go and why are you returning now? I'm lost." His friend Kung On, who was resting his head on his knees, quickly raised his head and wrote, "Once upon a time, Lu Nguyen entered heaven, fascinated by the lost fairy, nowadays." I quickly said, "Okay, please shut up for me." But the next 2 friends continued to hint at the meeting between me and the girl, so I got up and went back to camp to sleep. When people have eaten 2 loaves of ginger braised chicken sandwiches at once, there are no whispers from those who only ate 1 loaf of bread. Because of making a living, it was not until 4 years later that I had the opportunity to return to Saigon. During that time away, neither she nor I wrote letters to each other. Not because I'm lazy or because I'm stubborn, but because I think love doesn't live on letters. Evidence that I once wrote hundreds of sweet love letters to another girl but then still quietly got into the wedding car to go to my husband's house while I hurriedly climbed into the GMC car to go to the military school. I sold a stack of her letters to someone to package them with sugar, salt, onions and garlic. I don't know what useful work she used my stack of letters for. In the afternoon, walking along the bookstores, I met her standing and eating bobia with her friends on Pasteur Street. Both were surprised because they recognized each other easily. She looks much taller and more beautiful now than before, she said. I went to work. But why are you so black? I just returned from the land of fish sauce. She laughed. No wonder you smell so good. Don't lie to her. I took a shower and cleaned myself. If you have free time, come have a drink with me. She said something to her friends and then walked away with me. The street was so crowded that we had to hold hands and walk through the crowd of people standing and looking at the items sold on the sidewalk. We went to sit at a restaurant named after a flower in Dalet. The restaurant is empty. There is no music and the tables and chairs are very clean. I ordered her a bottle of Coke and mine a bottle of 33. I ask, do you want to eat anything? It's only 6 o'clock. I was hungry. Are you always hungry? Yes, and you still don't know what hunger is? I ordered 2 plates of chicken rice. When the rice was brought out by the waiter and placed in front of the two of us, I said, try to eat. Just eat until you're full and you'll have a chance to feel hungry. I bent down to eat almost the entire plate of rice, but she still couldn't even pick up a spoon and fork. I asked, crap. Let me order you a dish of salt-roasted crab? Or not? Watching him eat is more enjoyable. She pulled the plate of rice I was about to finish toward her and pushed the plate that was still full toward me. He celebrated for me the day we met. Dear God, is this my punishment? Chai 33 made me feel full and bloated. When people are full and bloated, having to eat more, even if it's fried chicken and rice, is a torture. I must try to carry out the torture to her satisfaction. Leaving the restaurant, we went to the cinema to watch a movie starring Annie Girardot. This is the female actor that she said she really liked after watching the movie Mourir d'Aimer. The movie we watched told the love story of a couple who had been divorced for more than 10 years. The reason for divorce was that the husband could not stand his wife's political activities. The reason for falling in love again is because the wife still loves her husband even though he has another wife. The movie has a great musical accompaniment and I really like the bright red straw hat that Annie wore in the spring when the snow had not yet melted. I say. You see, old love is so beautiful. Yes. God. I heard her say. Yes. For the first time. So let's wait until we're old to love each other so that our love will be beautiful. Or not. I love falling in love when I'm young even though love isn't as beautiful as in the movies. God, it was the first time I heard her say, you, what do you think? God, it was the first time I heard her say, you. So I thought, what else can I do to tire my brain when I'm happy? And to keep my mind from becoming distracted by time-consuming thoughts, I gently squeezed her hand. I hate you. I hate you. She trembled and put her head on my shoulder and cried. For example, if you love a girl with a crab-like personality and she says she hates you and then she cries, How will you treat her?